Whenever a new action RPG gacha game gets announced, I used to compare them to mainly Genshin Impact. For a long time, Genshin Impact has been considered the gold standard for gacha games, in my eyes, and probably for most players and companies too. Genshin is widely considered the first gacha game to break into the mainstream. It had a huge breakout success during the pandemic. It was a one of a kind in the gacha space. So it was not surprising that many people in the gacha space use Genshin Impact as a benchmark when comparing to a new ARPG gacha game. But in 2026, I stopped using Genshin as the gold standard and started comparing new ARPG gacha games with Wuthering Waves instead. What made me realize I considered Wuthering Waves as my gold standard of ARPG gacha is when I was looking for more information on Neverness to Everness. I think even last year when I was looking into some NTE or Ananta content, I was using Genshin Impact to compare them. I've played a fair share of ARPG gachas like Genshin Impact, Zenithzone Zero, Arknight's Enfield, Black Beacon, and Tribe 9, and I'm not trying to say WoWa does everything the best or everything in WoWa is the greatest, no other game can compare or do better, or say Genshin Impact is bad. WoWa is not a perfect game and it has its flaws. It has its strong and weak points. Overall, when I factor in all the things I care about in an ARPG gacha, WoWa scores the highest. These are some of the reasons why I consider Wuthering Waves to be the gold standard of ARPG gacha in 2026. These are my opinions, you can agree or disagree with them. So let's start off with the combat. If you ask the online gacha community which ARPG gacha has the best combat, I think majority of them would say Wuthering Waves. I think it's well deserved. Wuthering Waves combat is fast paced, fun, engaging, and offers a lot of room for skill expression and different playstyles. The effects look flashy and eye-catching. To my knowledge, I think WoW was the first to bring the perfect dodge and counter mechanic in the ARPG gacha genre. Could also be PGR, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm certain that WoW was the first in the gacha space to have the concerto system and the intro and outro skills. These systems give the combat more depth, and the devs are actively adding new combat features such as negative status and tune break into the game. Although at this moment I'm not particularly a big fan of the negative status, but that might change in the future with the release of more characters. I think WoW will hold the crown for best combat for the foreseeable future. Admittedly, I think one of the weak points in Wuthering Waves is the story and world building. The development of the main story feels like it revolves around the protagonist, and it feels like the other characters don't interact with each other much. Some main story quests feels like they're just focused on highlighting a character to sell their banner, then sideline them when the banner ends and maybe bring them back near the end of the arc. I think this is mainly why WoW got the nickname Gathering Wives, since the main story has a heavy focus on the protagonist, the world doesn't feel fleshed out or connected. I'm not saying WoW's story is bad, but it could be better. I think some of them are very good. My favorite one would be the one in 1.3 and 3.1. I think WoW's great story presentation and cinematography does do a lot of the heavy lifting. WoW currently probably has the top spot for story presentation and cinematography. I would have given it to Tribe 9, but unfortunately Tribe 9 EOS. Starting from being mediocre in 1.1, WoW cinematics have been improving patch after patch. Dialogues feels more concise and natural, poses aren't repetitive, and characters' expression are excellent. You can clearly see when a character is experiencing happiness, sadness, or any other mixed emotions. The cinematic shots are beautiful, and some of the scenes are wonderfully crafted that I find myself rewatching them on YouTube to relive the awe. I highly regard Kuro Games as a top-tier developers in the gacha space. Aside from making an incredible game, they're very responsive to the community's feedback. If there's an issue, they would try to address it as soon as possible. Super fast response time. For example, they gave out a free 5-star selector as a compensation for the rocky global launch, or when there was a mistranslation on Gion's weapon in the Japan server, Kuro offered full refunds to the affected players. Nowadays, if a company aren't fast enough to address issues to a new game, it can literally be end of service. A sad example would be Black Beacon. It was a good game, but the developers decided to play favoritism by giving the CN server a free selector and did not address the backlash from the global server till a week later. This made a lot of global players quit, and they had to EOS the global server shortly after. The sad thing is, very recently they had to close the CN server too. With a developer that is always keeping an open ears for players' feedback, comes with a lot of quality of life updates. I'm astonished with a lot of QoL updates we received in MUA. I've played a lot of games, gacha or not, and I've never seen a developer pumping out quality of life updates on almost every single patch. Some of these I didn't even know I needed, and now I can't live without it. It's like your teacher teaching you how to do a shortcut to a math problem, and you can never go back to doing it the long way again. They set the bar high on how developers should treat their players. As for open world exploration, I've only played Wuwa, Genshin, Arknight's Enfield, and ZZZ and Mongol Stardive with its pseudo open world zones. I haven't tried Infinite Nikki, Tower of Fantasy, or 7 Deadly Sins Origin, but hey, 5 out of 8 is still pretty good. I think it can be proven that Wuwa takes #1 spot in open world exploration. The biggest reason is the traversal, unlimited stamina outside of combat, and the parkour. It was a complete game changer. Coming from Genshin Impact, I knew I needed them, and it felt so good to finally have them. Plus, thanks to the flight system and the motorbike, you can travel from point A to point B at high speed. It's chef's kiss. I miss these features a lot whenever I go back to Genshin. Being able to grind for echoes, which is the endgame gear in WUA, is great and efficient for players that are low on stamina or must spend their stamina frugally. WUA was the first to introduce this, and recently Mongol Stardive was released with a similar feature. It gives some replayability after you finish exploring the overworld for chests and puzzles. However, I think the puzzles in Wuthering Waves are a bit too easy, and will hope to see them increase in difficulty. I'm looking forward to what innovation WUA will bring to the future areas. I personally think it's hard to top the flight system. Next, I want to go over the characters in Wuthering Waves. This topic is very subjective, as this whole video is subjective. I think majority of people can agree that WUA's characters models are probably among some of the best in the gacha space genre. Even the named NPCs designed are unique and well designed. Their skill kits are unique, and I don't think there's any characters that plays like each other. To me, WUA's characters are gorgeous, sexy, and beautiful, and admit, WUA kind of caters to a specific demographic, and I'm that demographic. We're definitely not beating the Gathering Wives allegation, let's be honest. Is WUA free to play friendly, or does it give a lot of free pulls? I think that's the most asked question before taking a dive at a gacha game. I've been playing since day one, and I'd have to say each version update gives the opportunity to earn a decent number of pulls. That is, if you don't miss doing dailies, finish all the events, and exploration. You'll usually earn enough to pity a limited banner once every version update. So if you're expecting to pull every new characters without spending, the chances of that happening are very slim. I consider WUA's gacha system a bit at the less predatory end. There's a 100% guaranteed limited weapon banner that takes away the anxiety of losing your 50-50 to a weapon you don't want. They also have a separate 5-star standard banner character and weapons. In the standard banner weapon banner, you can select which 5-star weapon to roll for. I really like that because it gives the player more control on how they build and progress their account. Being able to buy 2 copies of a 5-star unit you own using the pull rebate is amazing. To put it in monetary value, I live in the USA, so I'm going to be using USD. A pull is 160 asteroids, and if we convert that to USD, it's about $2.67 per pull. I'm not taking account into any bonus or deal you get for buying the Lunite packages. WUA's hard pity is 80. 80 times $2.67 is around $213 and some change. That's a lot of money you can be saving, and avoids you from having the heartbreak of losing your 50-50. I think the only other game that has a system like this is Black Beacon, which is now EOS. HSR and ZZZ has a similar system, but they use a different currency, and the character roster is more limited. Overall, one of the better gacha systems within the gacha genre right now. I think this might change in the future, seeing how the upcoming gachas like Mongol Stardive or NTE has a 100% guarantee for both the feature banner character and a weapon. Hopefully this will take off and it becomes more standardized in the future. Endgame content is in almost all gacha games. It's the ultimate trial of your hard work, investment, and knowledge of the game. Wuthering Waves offer 3 in-game modes. Each one tests your account differently. A summary of each mode. Tower Adversity is a time trial. Basically, beat this boss stage within this time limit to get max rewards. Wuthering Waves, which is an awful name by the way, is a game mode that has you defeat constant wave of enemies. The more waves you defeat within the time limit, the higher you score. Characters with AoE damage excels in this mode. Instate Matrix is a mix of both the prior mentioned game modes. You have a time limit to clear as many boss waves as you can. This game mode focuses more on knowing the boss patterns and your team's optimal damage rotation. I admit, Wuwa's endgame lacks originality, with similar modes being common across most action RPG gacha games. Personally, I enjoy Wuwa's endgame mode the most. I think it's because I enjoy the combat of Wuwa a lot, and in return, that kinda elevates my enjoyment of Wuwa's game mode. Wuwa is not a perfect game, and it does have its imperfections. I think the weakest point in Wuwa is the game's performance optimization. I have a good PC, and my game still stutters from time to time. I know that this happens frequently after a version update. Kuro Games do push out frequent hotfixes to alleviate these issues, and if you're playing on mobile device, your experience may vary depending on how high-end your mobile device is. Another weak point is the storage size. I think Wuwa currently probably has a lower storage space requirement in the gacha gaming space. For me as a PC player, it's not too much of an issue, but I can see this being a huge issue for mobile players. Kuro Games has announced that they are working on reducing the storage space requirement and optimizing performance for mobile players during their second year anniversary stream. Anyways, let me know what your gold standard gacha for 2026 and for which genre. If you don't agree with me on any points, let me know why down in the comments. Hope you enjoyed my video. If you enjoyed my video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and share it on social media. It'll help me out a lot, and I appreciate all the help I can get. See you in the next video.